Right, let's talk politics, because the Prime Minister has hit the ground running this weekend. Today, he's off to visit devolved governments in Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales.
And, of course, this comes as he puts the finishing touches on his cabinet. Yesterday evening, appointing two leading figures of the Blair and Brown years to his government. That's Douglas Alexander and Jackie Smith.
Well, as the Conservatives start to lick their wounds from the wipeout on Thursday, Suella Braverman has become the first to lead the postmortem. Yeah, well, she's right in there. Writing in the Telegraph newspaper today, she has said that the Conservatives deserved to lose, as she accused Rishi Sunak of pursuing an idiotic strategy, her words, which treated voters like mugs. Let's talk to a couple of political commentators for you this morning. Jack Rowlett and public affairs consultant Nathaniel Ogunniyi. Good to see you both this morning. Nathaniel, can we start with you? Because I'm intrigued by the Tories' approach, by Suella Braverman, of course, blaming everybody but herself.
Well, of course, we have to remember that Suella was part of this government up until November last year, 2023, and she resigned after she said that homelessness was a lifestyle choice. I think that kind of comment is exactly what put people off the Conservative Party rather than attracting people. So we have to be aware of that. I think equally on the right, we have a number of other candidates, Priti, Patel, Kemi, Badenoch. They are probably more likely to be able to appeal to people outside of the Conservative Party than Suella, who I think a lot of people perceive rather as quite hard on the right.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, before all of these various people throw their hat into the ring and say, I'd like to be the next leader, hasn't the Conservative Party, as a party, got to figure out why they failed so badly first?
Yeah, well, I think that's right. And I think it would be good for the party to take an extended period of time to really have a post-mortem on why it lost the election. Sort of similar to 2005, when they really took several months to kind of decide on the next leader and put the various candidates through their paces. I think what's really important, though, is that the Conservative Party doesn't turn this leadership election into a pure contest between the centre of the party and the right. We've had a lot of framing that, basically what happens for the Conservative Party next is whether it chooses to go with a candidate like Braverman, who's on the right of the party, or whether it chooses to go with someone like Tom Tugendhat to appeal more to the centre ground, and whether it's the loss of the right or the loss of the centre that has really resulted in the Conservative defeat of this election. But I think actually what's really the case is the Conservative Party wins when it manages to bring the centre ground and the right together, and when it finds a vision that unites both of those groups. I think really why the Conservative Party have lost this election is because it's lost sight of aspirational voters. It hasn't built enough homes. It hasn't caused economic growth. It hasn't done anything about immigration over the past 5 years. And that's ultimately why they've been punished. And they need to get back to basics, in a sense, back to an aspirational vision, low tax, economic liberalism, sensible on social issues. That's what's going to win people back over and take the fight to the Labour Party.
All right, well, talking of the Labour Party, Nathaniel, I mean, look, whether you voted for him or not, Sir Keir Starmer's determined to get on with the job, it would seem, flying around the country today, and determined, whether you agree with the policies or not, to get things moving.
Yes, I suppose he sounds as though he wants to get things done. I think a desire to get things done and actually getting them done are two different things. I suppose, yes, he is making some of the right noises, but I think we should be looking at his record of delivery perhaps in a few months' time rather than this. But I think it's important to note that Keir Starmer, as Prime Minister, has inherited a growing economy. He's inherited the fastest growing economy in the G7. He's inherited wages that are growing faster than inflation. And so, when the budget comes, which I think is expected in September or October, and the Labour Party are likely to raise some taxes in that, and they will say, of course, the public finances are much worse than we expected, we should be holding their feet to the fire about that.
Nathaniel, he's already made some very interesting choices for cabinet positions. He's brought in a couple of old Blairites, and it is said, it's reported in The Sun and various other newspapers this morning, that he has been talking to David Miliband about coming back in some way and then being appointed as the ambassador to the United States. This is all very interesting, but how will it go down with at least half of his party?
Yes, it seems like Starmer's looking to the past rather than to the future on this. I'm not sure what we need is sort of reheated Labour politicians from decades past. As Jack rightly pointed out earlier, we need sensible social policy, we need economic growth. I'm more interested in how Starmer plans to do things like that. And right now, it doesn't necessarily seem like he's looking to that.
What's your take on it, Jack?
Well, I think the approach we've seen from Starmer so far is refreshingly pragmatic in a sense, but I do wonder how long it will last. Ultimately, in politics, you have to make political decisions, and I don't think you can pretend not to be ideological. Actually, when he's deciding who he's going to put taxes up on, because I think inevitably Labour will put taxes up when they in the autumn reveal that the public finances are in a worse state than they thought they'd be, because that's obviously going to happen. Are they going to put them up on people who vote Conservative, or are they going to put them up on people who vote Labour? So I think politics is about political decisions, and I don't think this idea that Starmer is entirely above politics is going to last that long. And I think on the appointments, looking at the idea of David Miliband as ambassador to the US, I'm not sure that's a very sensible appointment, given currently it looks like Donald Trump's going to be back in the White House from January. I think we need a cannier appointment than going back to a Blair or a figure like David Miliband.
OK. Well,
that may just be what they're saying at the moment.
Maybe. We shall have to wait and see. Nathaniel, Jack, thank you both very much indeed. Good to see you this morning.
Yeah, thank you.